On this Sunday night, the people of Humboldt, Saskatchewan have come together in an act of communal grief, barely 48 hours after that devastating bus crash which claimed 15 lives.
Today and for every day forward, we are all Humboldt Broncos, and we will be forever Humboldt Broncos strong.
A message of strength for a small community hit so hard by loss. But tonight, this tribute resonates across Canada, touching so many who have cheered on their local hockey team or experienced the tragedy of young lives cut short. I'm Ian Hannah-Mansing in Humboldt.
I'm Rosemary Barton in Ottawa.
And I'm Andrew Chang in Toronto. This is The National.
We're here at Elgar Peterson Arena in Humboldt. The scene tonight was supposed to be lively and competitive. Instead, thousands gathered inside, not to cheer on at a hockey game, but to grieve at a special vigil, to pay their respects to the dead and support those who are left behind, and try somehow to find comfort in mutual sorrow. Tonight, we're devoting most of our program to Humboldt's tragedy and resilience, with tributes to the victims, many just young men themselves. And the stories of 14 survivors, they are dealing with so much. Plus, they're mounting questions about safety at the intersection where the Humboldt Broncos team bus collided with a semi-trailer truck. And sadly, this isn't the first deadly team bus crash in Saskatchewan. How an accident in swift current left its mark on the province decades later. But let's begin right here at the arena and the emotional moments from tonight's vigil.
This tonight is one of the steps that we have to go through in the healing process of our community. We will get through this together.
It is my prayer that we will find solidarity in grief with all of our fellow human beings.
I don't want to be here. I really don't want to be here. But it's good that we are.
Not one of us is alone in our grief. Continue to reach out. Reach out to one another for help and support.
It is now 7:32. The Humboldt Broncos game would have started at 7:30. Please join me in a minute of silence.
The Humboldt Broncos were on their way to a playoff game when tragedy struck. It's a ritual that so many of us in small towns and cities across Canada can relate to. Long road trips, a local hockey team that can be a living symbol of community spirit. So it's not so surprising that this pain cuts deeply. There's a story behind every member of that Humboldt team, those who survived and those who didn't. Our senior correspondent, Susan Ormiston, has some of their stories tonight.
Inside the Royal University Hospital, survivors are just beginning their long journey to recovery, as are the families holding it together. Michelle Strechnitsky's 19-year-old son, Ryan, has just emerged from 6 hours of surgery on his spine.
He knows he has a wealth of support, so I'm sure that he will draw on all of it.
He was playing his first season for the Broncos, but the accident has changed his path possibly forever.
Better than average chance that he won't play hockey again, or possibly even walk, we're not sure. But he's strong, so I wouldn't count him out.
Michelle and her family got a call Friday night like so many others. It was bad.
He himself actually told me today that he didn't think he was going to make it. The crash was so devastating. The boys were lying on the pavement just waiting for the first responders, and he couldn't move, so he didn't know what to do. He just waited.
His parents waited too for hours before the call from another player's dad.
He was in tears. He was just devastated. And he told us that he didn't know very much, but Ryan was okay. Ryan was alive. That's what we knew.
Today, hockey veteran Sheldon Kennedy visited Ryan and others in hospital. Kennedy and these former teammates survived a team bus accident 30 years ago near Swift Current. Peter Soberlach still remembers.
It's ultimately, I think, getting to a point of acceptance and trying to move forward. But that's a long road. That's a very long road.
All day, hockey families arrived in Saskatoon, including former Broncos players, remembering their coach, Darcy Hogan, who died.
Darcy, the head coach and GM there, we were close, and I had a lot of respect for that man, and we had a little handshake there at the end.
I'm so sorry.
And he just said how proud he was of me. And
these three young men, Xavier Labelle, Logan Hunter, and Adam Harold, were billeted with Renee Cannon's family. She told us quietly she lost all three.
When I heard there was an accident, I just believed the bus had slid into the ditch. So I tried to reach all of my boys. I called them all to see if they could tell me the details, if they were fine. It just seemed like that was as big as I could imagine it.
Labelle spent 2 seasons billeting at the Cannon House while playing for Humboldt. He had other talents too, posting his recitals on YouTube. Going forward, there will be unanswerable questions from those who lived and saw so many die. But there have been blessings too.
I want to thank everybody so much for everything. It's overwhelming and remarkable. We can't say enough. Thank you.
The tragedy so universally shared has touched so many.
So after a day in Saskatoon, Susan is here with us in Humboldt. The Prime Minister was here as well in the arena, but he met with survivors.
Yeah, he didn't speak here at all tonight, Ian, but he did go to the hospital in Saskatoon and made the tour and talked to Ryan. We have a picture of him talking to Ryan. I think they talked mostly about hockey, it seemed, but he was there to provide his support for all those people still suffering.
And let's talk some more about survivors.
Well, we know that there's probably about a dozen at least still in hospital, some of those quite critically injured still, Ian. We hear a lot about some and not so much about others. A trainer for the Broncos, the Humboldt Broncos, and she was last in critical condition, and we're watching people like her and the others who are struggling to get better.
Tell us about the mood and what things were like in Saskatoon today.
Well, you know, I'm from Saskatoon, so being at the airport this morning, seeing lots of people come in with connections to the Broncos, and you don't have to go very far to get another connection. You know, one of the guys there was involved in that Swift Current crash years ago, and his daughter was the chief surgeon at the hospital on Friday night. So lots of connections here and lots of spirit. I have been impressed by the, resilience. It is a prairie tradition, but it's also a hockey family tradition, very close.
It's also a word that's used a lot, maybe sometimes a cliche, not a cliche here at all.
Not at all, no.
All right, Susan, thank you so much.
You're welcome.
As overwhelming as this tragedy is, there is comfort and hope in some of the images being posted on social media. The father of Bronco player Derek Patter posted a picture of his son and teammate Nick Shumlansky and Grayson Cameron holding hands, solace in the Brotherhood of hockey. And Nick, who's been released from hospital, did what teammates do tonight. He stood with his hockey family and his community. As you heard, he attended tonight's vigil after being treated for broken bones and shoulder injuries. He was one of the few Broncos who was able to get up and move around immediately after the accident. He called his father, Miles, after the crash, and Miles rushed to the scene along with Nick's mom to try to help the other victims any way they could. And earlier, the brother and friends of another survivor, Morgan Gobet, showed off their new tattoos. They had the ink trace Morgan's heartbeat from the ICU. As we saw in Susan Ormiston's story, former NHL player Sheldon Kennedy met with some of the survivors earlier today, and he joins us here in Humboldt. Tell us about that experience, meeting those survivors. What were they saying to you?
Well, I mean, we left this morning not knowing, what to expect today, Ian, and we walked in the rooms and we were able to have some conversations, and we could relate. We could relate to sitting in that bed, and we could relate to their pain, having gone through this ourselves. And I felt that, we were able to bring some hope. I think there was a lot of questions asked of, how did you get through the darkness? What did you do? What did it take? How long did it take? And, I'm glad. I mean, we were with 3 other teammates, and I felt that the conversations were positive, and we wanted to bring some hope, and I think we did.
We're trying to maintain some distance here, but at the same time get a sense of what it's like for those survivors. So tell us more about that. Tell us more about how they're doing.
Well, I mean, there was a lot of pain. There was some kids that, were talking about, the dreams of the next path of their life. There was some fear, and the fear of, what just happened. And then there was also that survivor's guilt, and which we know very well. And I think that the confusion that they have because they are still alive. And I think that we can relate to that, and I think that's a very normal piece of, a very normal impact to have after going through such a tragedy. And Peter Soberlach that was with us, and Darren Kruger, who lost his brother in our bus crash, could speak to the, those questions very well. And I could have done this better to save my buddy here, or I should have done that. And it was. It was something that impacted me, and probably something I'll never forget in my life, Ian.
No kidding. Now, we only have about 30 seconds left, but these kids went through such a tragedy. They're going through their own personal questions. Did they ask any questions about hockey? Is hockey on their mind at all?
Oh, yeah. We had some, we had, Don Cherry and Ron were there, and Todd McClellan and Glenn Gullickson, and
so the coach of Edmonton and Calgary. Yeah,
that's right. And you know what? We had some laughs in there too, and I think that's important. You know what? You have to be able to find that, find a little giggle and talk about stuff, and not be consumed 24/7 on the bad and the dark. You got to keep focusing on how we're going to move through that, and I think laughter is a big part of coming through trauma.
Well, there's so much about your life that is impressive, not the least of which is you were an NHL player, so I'm sure you had a lot to say to them. Sheldon, thank you very much.
Yeah, thank you, Ian, very much.
This is what Humboldt's welcome sign now looks like, and it'll likely remain that way for some time. Prayers for Humboldt do continue to pour in from across the country tonight. Faith is a big part of this farming community east of Saskatoon, home to 11 churches and places of worship where many are clearly looking for solace in the aftermath of this tragedy. As president of the Humboldt Broncos, Kevin Garinger is a leader in this community as well, and his role goes deeper than that title might suggest. He was the billet father, it's a term that he uses, to Connor Lucan, one of the players who sadly was killed. I spoke with Garinger inside the arena, the home of the Broncos, earlier today. Let's start with Friday night. You were in Edmonton.
Yes.
On a family emergency, basically.
That's correct.
When did you first get an indication of how bad things were?
Really, I guess when I started phoning people from the organization, other board members, the assistant general manager, and nobody had heard anything at that point. I then contacted the Nipawin Hawks organization and talked to their president, and Darren shared with me that there was an accident. He explained that the bus had been hit by a semi, and that it was bad, very bad is how he put it, and he tried to give me updates as best he possibly could. And so at that point, as he started talking about what he knew, it was very clear that it was becoming my worst nightmare, and all of our worst nightmare.
you billeted one of these young players, and that instantly must have made you directly concerned about what happened to him.
I was concerned, like, I guess as the president of this organization, I was concerned for all our kids and our staff and our statistician and our media personality. I was concerned for everyone. Of course, I have a tighter, a different relationship because he was my billet son. But I had many of those kids who came to my home, and so I knew those kids, and on a different level than you just know because you're the president of the organization. And so it was extremely challenging. I mean, these are incredible young men, and it wasn't until later on that all of a sudden we started hearing who had passed away. Head coach and general manager who I had a very, very strong relationship with. Very, very hard time, obviously, and I think about our young statistician who, if you asked him about a basketball game or a football game 20 years ago or something, he knew all the statistics on it. I mean, he was just an incredible young mind that we had who passed away. Brody Hines, Mark Cross, his mom and dad used to work for me, and incredible people. He grew up with my oldest son. They were extremely close friends. Just a very difficult time, and I hope never to ever have to relive something like that, because I'm going to relive this for the rest of my life. And we continue to pray for our athletes who are continuing to fight, and our Dana Bronze, who's trying to who's obviously still in critical condition. So we care about. We're a family. This whole community, our fans and board and our staff and this city. We're a family, and I think being here, you get a sense that way that it's a very family-like atmosphere. And our family, we've had members of our family who are no longer here, and it's extremely hard.
Well, that gentleman came up before we did this interview and shook your hand and told you how impressed he was with how you've done it. It has been impressive under the worst kinds of conditions. So thank you very much for speaking with us.
Thank you very much, Ian.
He's shown so much leadership, but I think you can tell in that interview, he mentioned to me that there have been more than a few moments privately where he's broken down. A lot of emotions swirling around, Andrew, in this community.
Yeah, it's remarkable, Ian, how people sort of rise to these moments as he did. And one of the things he said during the memorial was that this team has become a fabric, part of the fabric of the community, just to give you a sense of how important they all are.
And of course, through all this, the hockey community is doing its part to offer emotional support, certainly, but financial support as well for crash victims and their families. Take a look at this. This GoFundMe page was launched by a hockey mom, Sylvie Kellington, whose son played on the Broncos Bantam A team last season. It has raised well over $4 million since Friday. It's just kept climbing ever since. And Humboldt is seeing a lot of generosity from the NHL, too. The Winnipeg Jets donated the proceeds of their 50-50 draw during last night's game with Chicago to this cause. The Calgary Flames and Edmonton Oilers did the same. And the Montreal Canadiens also pitching in with personal donations from every single player on the team.
We'll have more special coverage from Humboldt this hour. We'll walk through what we know about what happened on that highway Friday evening.
We'll also take you to Swift Current, a community that knows all too well what it's like to go through a tragedy such as this.
And we'll bring you some powerful voices from inside the hockey community, tributes and memorials across the country and the continent.
And throughout the hour, we'll honor those who died, the lives they lived, and how their loved ones are remembering them. You're about to meet David Eberle. He's a man with a deep connection to the Humboldt Broncos. He's had season tickets for decades. Both of his sons were connected to the team. One played for the Broncos. His daughter was the billet host to Logan Boulet, the player whose profile you just saw. In fact, on Friday night, Eberle's grandson was riding in a car with Boulet's parents. They were some distance behind the team bus, and they got to the crash site before emergency responders arrived. Your grandson and Logan's parents were in a car. They were among the first people to get to the scene.
That's correct, yeah. In fact, my grandson indicated that when they were driving, getting close to the scene, he looked and saw, he says to Logan's dad, there's a Humboldt Bronco bag in the ditch. And so they stopped quickly and fetched the bag, and then shortly they saw what was going on. And so he just remained in the car. Logan's dad went out, I think, to see if he could help until the first responders got there, and then they asked him to back off. And it was just a terrible, terrible thing.
Investigators are still trying to figure out what caused this crash, and the one thing that they're looking at is the intersection where it happened. The bus was en route from Humboldt to Nipawin, traveling north on Highway 35. That's north of Tisdale. The speed limit there is 100 kilometers an hour. The bus approached the Highway 335 intersection where the truck was approaching from the east. The truck had a stop sign, the bus didn't. Visibility may have been an issue. A stand of trees partially obscured sight lines from the east and south. The force of the collision sent both vehicles into the ditch on the northwest corner. Olivia Stefanovic is looking at why this intersection may be particularly dangerous.
The ferocity of the crash is still hard to comprehend. Today, a stark contrast. The intersection where the collision happened opened for the first time since the tragedy, but there are still telltale signs of what happened here. Among the debris, a cracked DVD of the hockey movie Slapshot. The Humboldt Broncos would have passed by these crosses just before impact. A family of 6 was killed in a collision with a grain truck in the same intersection 2 decades ago.
The accident that happened 20 years ago, it was a pickup coming from the west.
It failed to stop at the stop sign.
I really feel a rumble strip would be a good thing, because when you hit them, like it kind of jars you right away.
While it's too early to say if a failed stop played a role in Friday's crash.
The locals know this is a deceptively dangerous intersection. You think you've got lots of time to stop, and then all of a sudden it's a surprise.
Sightlines have been a concern at this intersection. A gas station that once stood in this exact spot was torn down to improve them. The RCMP are working with a collision reconstruction team to determine what happened. In the meantime, even its officers seem particularly affected by what happened here. Olivia Stefanovic, CBC News, south of Nipawin, Saskatchewan.
That rumble strip he mentions a series of small speed bumps. We saw one of those as we were driving from Saskatoon to Humboldt, and it warned us that a stop sign was ahead. And one more note on the crash investigation. The driver of the truck that collided with the team bus was questioned by police but was released, and he's now getting counseling. As we've been saying, this tragedy is being felt across the prairies and really across the country as a whole.
Yeah, Ian, and within Saskatchewan, the crash in Humboldt is reminding many of another deadly accident more than 30 years ago.
The tragedy has stunned this small prairie city, leaving many people wondering whether the young team can carry on.
In 1986, a bus carrying the Swift Current Broncos hit a patch of black ice and careened off the road. Along with Sheldon Kennedy, Joe Sakic was among the survivors, but 4 of their young teammates were killed. It was a devastating thing to have happen, and still a raw wound for many in Swift Current. Aaron Collins is there tonight.
Saturday night is hockey night in Swift Current, but last night, the game itself wasn't as important. Before the puck drop, a moment of silence. People here know better than most how the community of Humboldt is feeling. The bus crash in 1986 killed 4 players. Eerily, the teams in both crashes are called the Broncos. Both happened on cold Saskatchewan roads. Both tragedies changed their communities forever.
It was horrible. It was sad. The whole community, you still feel it to this day.
Swift Current native Mike Whitney played junior hockey in the 90s, including a stint with the Humboldt Broncos.
It's going to be a long healing process for them. It's going to take a lot of time. They're a strong community, and they're there for each other.
A granite memorial at the site of the crash was put up 2 years ago to mark its 30th anniversary. Bill Lee, a close friend of one of the victims, led the push to get it built.
It's not going to be today or tomorrow. It's going to be in a couple of weeks when they're sitting at home alone, when the first birthday comes, when Christmas comes, when Easter comes. That's when the tears, like with me, every time it happens.
At the home of the Swift Current Broncos, the '86 crash is never far from people's minds. A banner bearing the number of each of the 4 players who died hangs from the rafters. The closest those numbers will ever get to the ice here.
All the numbers of those 4 players from '86 are retired from our whole association. It's sad, yeah. It's too fresh. Doesn't seem like that long ago.
Friday's tragedy brought back painful memories in Swift Current, a place that knows firsthand how long it can take to heal. Aaron Collins, CBC News, Swift Current, Saskatchewan.
Much more ahead from Humboldt on the National, including how the pro hockey community paid tribute to the Broncos.
Haley Wickenheiser remembers the players and what it's like to ride that team bus.
And we go back to that powerful vigil tonight. More scenes from inside Elgar Peterson Arena. But first, a look at some of the young people who died Friday night.
For junior hockey teams, the team bus can become a second home for the players. Friendships can be built on the highway as they drive from town to town. Teammates bond, prepare for games, celebrate a win, and reflect on losses. We did some calculations. The Humboldt Broncos spent more than 15,000 kilometers this season crisscrossing the province from arena to arena. All those players and coaches shared at least the equivalent of 6 full days together on that bus. And Rosemary, for people who have played hockey at an elite level or other amateur sports, can remember long hours on buses, and that's got to be one of the reasons this tragedy hits home for so many Canadians.
For sure, Ian, and the same goes for a lot of NHLers too, because they of course began their careers as junior players before they went pro, spending those countless hours on a 2-lane highway from game to game. And there was a rare display of raw emotion from many of the teams and players who were uniting with powerful tributes to the victims.
Will you now please rise if you're able to and remove your hats?
An unimaginable tragedy occurred on the roads of rural Saskatchewan. 15 members of the Humboldt Broncos junior hockey team lost their lives, while other members of the team are still in hospital. In hockey, we've learned that you don't play for the name on the back of the jersey, you play for the crest on the front. Tonight, the Winnipeg Jets and the Chicago Blackhawks, together with the entire National Hockey League, are playing this game for the names on the back of our jerseys, the Humboldt Broncos.
It's unthinkable. Everyone in hockey knows how much time that we spend traveling around, especially on buses. And for me, some of my fondest memories in junior came on the bus.
My first junior game was in Nipawin, Saskatchewan. So I've driven that road just like those kids did, and it gives you chills to think about.
We now ask that everyone here tonight, together with those watching on TV across our great country, offer a moment of silence to honor all of those lost and affected by this tragedy.
I can't even imagine being the parent or the wife or the kids at home going through something like this. So we pray for those families and thinking about them. A horrific accident, a tough day.
Yeah, it's hard. It is. It's things like that really bring things out, what's important in your life.
As a hockey community, we need to find a way to support this community and these families.
Thank you.
Hockey is very much the heartbeat of Canada, the lifeblood of anyone who loves the game and plays it beyond the backyard rink. We went to someone who knows that culture very well. Here's Olympic champion Hayley Wickenheiser.
I just can't even fathom as a parent of a 18-year-old son what these parents are going through, and that call that must have come in. And just how difficult of a situation it is for the community and for everybody that's lost a loved one. I think when you grow up in a team sport, in any sport, where you're on the buses a lot, so much of coming together as a team and of the time spent together happens on the bus, whether you're watching movies. There's generally a hierarchy on the bus. The coaches and the staff sit at the front. The rookies tend to sit at the front, and the veteran players sit at the back. And it's just such a tradition in the game. In junior hockey, the tradition is that when a team gets into the playoffs, generally a team will do something all together as a team. So whether it's dye your hair, grow a beard, get a tattoo, and so I smiled when I saw all the blonde hair, and it really just sums up what hockey's all about, which is that it's the ultimate team game. For the boys, they want to be together. It's part of the healing. I think when you're on a team, you never go through things alone. One of the beautiful things of being on a team is that you can deflect the pressure to 18 other players. You don't have to take it on yourself. And I think that was a big part of this, of let's get them back together and help them heal each other and move forward. And it was a very powerful image. Last night I picked up my son, Noah, at the airport. And so I gave him a big hug and told him I was going to hang on to him a little bit longer, but I couldn't help thinking about all the parents who weren't able to put their arms around their son. So as a mom having kids that age, it's just a great age to be around. And as a mother, I just think of those kids every time I look at my son. And I am very grateful to have him, and I really have a heartfelt, deepest sympathy for those moms that don't. I would just want all of those boys to know that that we here in Canada are thinking of you. I might have to start over. I just would like the players and the staff who have made it through this tragedy to know that Canada's with you, that we're all thinking of you, and that you don't have to feel alone, you don't have to feel guilty, that just let the support of your family and your friends and the community and the country just carry you for a while you heal and take care of yourselves.
We'll return to Humboldt, Saskatchewan in a moment. But first, we want to update you on a couple of developing stories tonight. Canada is condemning Syria for reportedly using chemical weapons on its own people again. At least 70 people died, many of them children. Our Paul Hunter now on the aftermath. And we should tell you, the pictures are disturbing.
Horrific and nauseating. Bodies, young and old, foaming at the mouth, suggesting the likelihood of yet another chemical attack in Syria. Witnesses are said to have described a bomb blast, and then no one could breathe. Even as survivors sought treatment, Damascus denied it had gassed its own people. But it's clear the U.S. president believes that's exactly what happened. An atrocity, he tweeted this morning. Sick. And for the first time in his presidency, Donald Trump criticized Russian President Vladimir Putin by name in a tweet. President Putin, Russia, and Iran, he wrote, are responsible for backing animal Assad. Big price to pay. Recall Trump 1 year ago, after another gas attack blamed on the regime of Bashar al-Assad.
When you kill innocent children, innocent babies, little babies, with a chemical gas that is so lethal.
Days later, 59 U.S. cruise missiles struck a Syrian airbase. So will he now strike again? Just last week, Trump suggested he's eager to pull U.S. troops out of Syria. But that was before this apparent new chemical attack and Trump's tweet threatening action.
They see us, our resolve breaking. They see our determination to stay in Syria waning.
Urging him on, Republican Senator Lindsey Graham.
So this is a defining moment, Mr. President. You need to follow through with that tweet.
Trump will get guidance on that tomorrow, the first day on the job for his new national security advisor, John Bolton, long an advocate of airstrikes against Syria. Said the White House today, nothing's off the table. Paul Hunter, CBC News, Washington.
Kinder Morgan is hitting pause on the expansion of the Trans Mountain Pipeline in British Columbia. It comes after weeks of protests near the site, but also after the province has tried to put up roadblocks of its own. Tonight, the federal government says the pipeline will be built. Briar Stewart has more.
No Kinder Morgan!
No Kinder Morgan!
After months of protests and political maneuvering, the company behind a contentious pipeline project says all the opposition has caused too much financial uncertainty. In a statement today, Kinder Morgan Canada said it was suspending all non-essential spending on the Trans Mountain expansion, saying political risks that are completely outside of our control and that could prevent completion of the project are risks to which we simply cannot expose our shareholders. That risk is coming from BC, where the provincial government is fighting the project.
To defend our water, our lands, and most importantly, our coast.
The federal government insists that the pipeline will be built.
We are strongly encouraging the government of British Columbia to stop these indirect threats.
But Ottawa won't elaborate on what it will do if BC doesn't change course. But today, Alberta's premier did. Rachel Notley said her government will bring in legislation that could punish BC economically, and if necessary, the province will invest in the pipeline.
We will be a significantly more determined investor than BC has dealt with up to this point.
I think this project's over now.
But for those who are against this project, they see today's announcement by Kinder Morgan as the beginning of the end.
You can already see the levels of opposition just a small amount of activity around our tank farm in Burnaby, let alone 1,000 kilometers of pipeline.
Officials with Kinder Morgan say that if the company doesn't reach agreements with all stakeholders by the end of May, then they don't see just how the project could proceed. Briar Stewart, CBC News, Vancouver.
Let's go back to Humboldt, Saskatchewan now, and our special coverage. Ian.
Well, Rosie, you may have seen pictures of people wearing "We Are Humboldt Strong" t-shirts. Mike Yeager runs a small t-shirt printing business that makes them, and guess what? He's been overwhelmed with orders.
They're from Saskatchewan, of course, Saskatoon, Hudson Bay, Regina, Prince Albert, Humboldt, of course, and as far as Newfoundland, lots from Ontario, lots from BC, New York, New Hampshire, and Ireland.
So the massive demand for those T-shirts almost threw a wrench in Yeager's whole program. He ran out of yellow ink, one of the Broncos' main team colors, and his sales rep was out of the country. But a family friend came to the rescue, drove all night to Edmonton to get more. That is a round trip of 1,300 kilometers.
It can always really make people smile and laugh.
Before we go, we want to show you another powerful moment from tonight's vigil. The prayer from Pastor Sean Brandow, the chaplain for the Humboldt Broncos.
God, we hurt. Oh, there's so many questions, God, and so many unanswered things. And I'll be with each one of these players that fights, that are fighting for their lives, that are hanging on. Each one of these families that just mourns the loss of a son. Oh, God, be their hope. Oh, we need each other, Father, but we need you more. Would you just speak to each one of these families that hurts, each one of those billets who goes downstairs to a quiet basement? It's one of those families in the community that just want to help but don't know how. God, just allow us to be still. God, help there to be rest. Help there to be peace.
That was a moment that really captured what I've seen all afternoon and evening here in Humboldt. There's a lot of strength in this community, but there's a lot of pain as well.
That was one of the few shots where you could see the Prime Minister at the vigil, and he actually brought his son, Xavier, with him. He also plays hockey. And just a reminder that this kind of story touches everybody's lives in so many different ways, whether you're just a parent or whether you're a hockey parent.
Well, and I think of the Broncos club itself and the will from its leadership for the team to live on, to continue playing, continue competing, not today, not tomorrow, certainly nor next week, but eventually they will lace their skates back up.
Let's take you back to the vigil, the voice of the president of the team as he remembers those who passed away in that terrible bus accident just over 48 hours ago. Thanks for watching. Good night.
Grayson Cameron, Ryan Strasnitsky, Bryce Fisk, Tyler Smith, Caleb Dahlgren, Matthew Gomersic, Nick Shumlansky, Derek Patter, Morgan Gobey, Braden Kamrud, Lane Matichuk, Parker Tobin, Jacob Wasserman, and our team trainer, Dana Bronze. Adam Harold, Connor Lucan, Evan Thomas, Jacob Light, Jackson Joseph, Logan Boulay, Logan Hunter, Logan Schatz, Stephen Wack, Xavier LaBelle, Bolt FM broadcaster Tyler Bieber, bus driver Glenn Dirksen, team statistician Brody Heinz, assistant coach Mark Cross, head coach Darcy Hogan. They will forever be Humboldt Broncos.